My dear students of class 9A and 9B, today, as per the points mentioned in the board, I am going to explain this lesson, the Mughal Empire, Akbar's religious policy. Akbar, established Ibadat Khana, a place from where he communicated the message to the people of India that he was a tolerant ruler. Akbar called all the missionaries of different religions and heard their views. A number of questions he asked them when they met the Ibadat Khana for religious discussions and debates. Akbar asked them various questions and they kept on answering the questions being asked by Akbar. Akbar, established a system by which the ideals of Sul-e-Kul was implemented. Now, what is the ideals of Sul-e-Kul and what was the principle of Sul-e-Kul introduced by Akbar? A policy of giving position and awards to the nobles, officers who worked in Akbar's administration on the basis of their service and loyalty to the king. Akbar abolished the tax on pilgrimage in the year 1563. What was the name of the tax? Jizya tax. That very Jizya tax in the year 1564, Akbar abolished the tax on pilgrimage in 1563 and Jizya tax in 1564. These two taxes, Akbar abolished the Jizya taxes in order to gain faith of the Hindu people of India. Akbar realized that India was a Hindu majority country, and he wanted to rule many years. That's why he adopted a policy of religious tolerance, not religious intolerance. That's why the policy he adopted based on not religious discrimination. And all instructions were sent to the officers of the empire to follow the precepts of Sul-e-Kul in his administration, where the policy of religious intolerance was adopted. Akbar gave, grants to support the building and maintenance of places of worship. Even when temples were destroyed during the war, grants were later issued for their repair. That's why he gained high respect from the people of India because of his religious policy. The next one, the principles of his religious policy. The principles of his religious policy. Akbar's principles of his religion were followed by the policy he introduced. What were the policies, the religious, principles of his religious policy? There were some principles of the religious policy of Akbar. These principles are: number one, God is one and emperor is his representative. According to Akbar's religious policy and his principles, God is one and emperor is his representative. The second principle of the religious policy of Akbar is the members were required to be vegetarians and abstain from drinking and lead a very virtuous life. Next point, principle of Akbar's religious policy. The emperor had to be recognized. The emperor had to be recognized as the temporal or spiritual head of the country. So these were the principles of Akbar's, religious policy. Now next point, comparative study of the reigns of Akbar and Jahangir. Akbar and Jahangir. Akbar adopted a policy of religious tolerance, not religious intolerance, because he was a tolerant ruler. He was a tolerant ruler. According to, Akbar, people were the source of power of a state or an empire. That's why the interest of the people should be strengthened. Akbar believed that a country would become powerful till people's support was there. That's why the interest of the people must be safeguarded, and country's prosperity, sovereignty would be dependent on the prosperity and happiness of the people also. That's why, in order to make the people of his reign happy, he adopted various good policies for them. These policies helped him to strengthen the economic stability of the country, to strengthen the security of the country, to strengthen the sovereignty of the country, and to help him to extend his empire. Because many Indian, communities helped Akbar in strengthening his empire because of his cordiality, because of his sincerity, simplicity, and sympathy. The sympathy he showed towards them helped Akbar to be powerful and to be successful in making a large kingdom. Akbar in the year 1560 constructed a fort at Agra with red sandstone. Why? Because Agra was the former capital of the Lodi dynasty. Babur, by defeating the last Sultan of the Delhi Sultanate, Ibrahim Lodi, in the first battle of Panipat, established the Mughal dynasty and started ruling India from Agra, the capital of the Mughals. He did not seek that capital. And Akbar also followed the same technique and method. He also made Agra his capital and constructed a large fort there in the year 1560 with red sandstone. In the year 1570, my dear student, Akbar decided to build a new capital at Fatehpur Sikri. Now why? Because there was a Muslim son named Sheikh Selim Chishti who obtained high respect from the people of that locality and made it a pilgrim center, a pilgrimage, so that so many people, so many pilgrims would come and visit that Chishti. After the death of that very Chishti, of that Selim Chishti, that silsila became more and more famous. So Akbar decided to make it his capital, named the capital, Fatehpur Sikri, the new capital of Akbar. And there he decided to build a new capital that was Fatehpur Sikri, and then he also constructed a white marble tomb for Sheikh Salim Chishti there, and also he constructed the great and famous Buland Darwaja there at Fatehpur Sikri in order to commemorate the image of the Mughals after having defeated the rulers of Gujarat. He constructed the great Buland Darwaja at Fatehpur Sikri, the new capital of Akbar. Jahangir adopted the same technique, same method followed by his father Akbar. Jahangir felt that the cooperation of the Rajputs was important to him. That's why his Rajput policy was as same as his father Akbar adopted. At the same time, Jahangir realized that the cooperation of the people towards the king was very important. That's why he decided to introduce a system of justice of chain in order to provide justice for any people, any person who required. The person who did not have access to the main gate of his royal palace, there was a chain tied from the royal building to the interior parts of, to a place beside the, Yamuna river. As soon as the needy person would come and touch the chain, it rang, and that sound reached the royal palace. Jahangir would come to know that someone would like to be treated equally. There was some injustice done to them, to him or her. Immediately he would contact him or her and provided impartial justice. By way of doing that system, introducing that system, Jahangir obtained high respect from his countrymen. And the next one, the reign of Shah Jahan. The reign of Shah Jahan. Shah Jahan was a ruler, not a tolerant one, but intolerant. During the period of Shah Jahan, the temples which were destroyed by some invaders, some nobles, some tax collector of Mughal administration were not allowed to be repaired. No money was sanctioned during Shah Jahan's reign. Shah Jahan wanted to bring a reconciliation between the negative and positive side. Although he realized that the cooperation of the people was important. Yet he adopted the policy of repression. Tax collected forcefully, excess amount which was imposed on them. Shah Jahan decided to collect extra amount of taxes from the peasants and farmers. The amount of taxes which was imposed on them by Akbar and his son Jahangir, and it was not increased. Shah Jahan forgot it. Shah Jahan forgot it. Shah Jahan did not care for his popularity. Shah Jahan didn't care for any kind of inconveniences of the people, but was interested to serve his purpose. What was his purpose? To collect huge taxes from them and to construct new buildings, new mosques of beautiful designs, beautiful arts, and with beautiful paintings, so that the image of the Mughals reached far and wide, and he would become a building emperor. It was due to that reason, during his time, in some places of India, peasants' revolt was there. Shah Jahan had to suppress it. Many people were dissatisfied with the policy of Shah Jahan, but still there was a good administration. The administrative system of the Mughals, which was introduced by Akbar once, that system was strictly followed by Shah Jahan. And Shah Jahan also realized that Indian people, the communities of India, should be allowed to rule independently. So there was no independence during the reign of Shah Jahan. There was no dependence on them. They could rule independently. Those who were not annexed by Shah Jahan. You know, Kabul, Samarkand, and some areas of the Deccan, Ahmednagar, Bijapur, Golconda, these all, Ahmednagar was conquered by Shah Jahan, but Bijapur and Golconda accepted the political supremacy of the Mughals, and hence they were allowed to rule their states independently, since they accepted political supremacy of Shah Jahan. But still, Shah Jahan tried to conquer the old territories of his ancestors in Central Asia and Kandahar. The responsibility was given to him by his father once, but he denied, he refused to accept it. He refused to shoulder the responsibility, but one being the Mughal emperor, he made one attempt to annex Central Asia, some parts of the Central Asia and Kandahar, but failed. You know, Shah Jahan's most important work and achievements were constructing of a number of buildings, mosques, monuments, etc., etc. He constructed the great Taj Mahal in order to commemorate the image of his wife, beloved wife Mumtaz Mahal. He shifted his capital from Agra to Delhi, constructed a new building there named Red Fort. There were Diwani Khas, temples, bazaar, large courtyards, These also were done by Shah Jahan because he decided to shift his capital from Agra to Delhi, named it Shahjahanabad. He named Delhi his capital, new capital, Shahjahanabad. And in front of his main building, his residence, Red Fort, he constructed one of the biggest mosques of India, Jama Masjid, in front of the Red Fort. He constructed peacock throne made of gold. Later on, Nadir Shah, the invader, invaded it, the peacock throne. During his reign, trade and commerce was developed. The British continued trade in India, paid huge taxes to the emperor. So emperor allowed them to trade freely, to trade independently. But there was no exemption of taxes for the British and other, European traders who would come to trade with our country. Shah Jahan always remained silent. Whenever the taxes were collected from the peasants and farmers, the traders, local and foreigners, Shah Jahan did not like to disturb them. So, Shah Jahan's reign also reached to its highest extent because of his beautiful buildings, constructions of Mughal art and Mughal paintings, with Mughal arts and paintings. But Shah Jahan's biggest failure, what was the biggest failure of Shah Jahan? Shah Jahan's biggest failure was his inability to control his sons. Shah Jahan wanted his elder son Dara Shikoh to become the emperor of Delhi after his death. But a fierce battle, a fierce conflict broke out among his sons. Aurangzeb defeated others and suppressed and killed all his brothers, and finally imprisoned his father Shah Jahan and took over the charge of the empire, became the emperor of the Mughal dynasty. Up to this, my dear students. Next day, the remaining part. Thank you.